And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Anytime you're talking about fundamentals in a market and direction, fundamentals take a little bit of time to play out.
We got crude oil today, kind of trading yesterday's value area really nicely, low to high.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Market Forecast, Monday, March the 14th. I'm John. Thanks for trusting me with your time. Interesting markets as usual. Hopefully you had a good trading day. I was really not that active today. Mondays aren't typically my best days, and the dog kept me up most of the night. So I was not at my best today. Hopefully on the forecast we saw a couple of areas where we saw some fish. Hopefully you were able to take advantage of it, is just kind of looking at what the markets did here this morning. Crude oil dipped back down below $100 a barrel today. We broke and accepted below the neckline of the head and shoulders pattern that we were looking at this morning. And we ended up closing below the weekly kickoff low. That creates potential for market state change. But don't forget, anything can and usually does happen. As far as the E-mini, S&P, and the NASDAQ, our late spike rule played out in both of those markets, but in slightly different ways. Most of the U.S. indices closed lower today, except for the Dow. The Dow eked out a small profit for the day. Gold, the island top reversal, continues to press prices lower. Anything, again, can and will happen. The euro, talked about it being on the back burner this morning, and I'm glad it did. Just kind of a small range-bound type of day. The 10-year rates continue to leak higher as we approach FOMC, so we're getting some continuation and even some acceleration below that weekly kickoff level from this week. In the NASDAQ short time frame control as price balances. So some decent opportunities in some of our markets. As usual, not so much in others. We're always looking for that good context. And I think we had some pretty good context in the S&Ps and the NASDAQ. Much easier trade in the NASDAQ today than in the S&Ps. S&Ps got a little bit too high up into that value area for my comfort. NASDAQ really played out the late spike trade well today. As far as other news, we're all well aware of everything that's going on in the world. Continue to pray for peace. U.S. traders pretty much hedged today in these markets, awaiting the Fed decision. China is facing its worst COVID breakout since 2020. It's not good news. Uber and Lyft, and now Lyft, are adding fuel surcharges to riders during the surging fuel prices. Goldman Sachs is saying now they want everybody back in the office 5 days a week, and they think that that's going to create a trend in business. Well, a lot of folks are demanding that their people come back into the office 5 days a week. Now, I know some friends that have gone back and they're required to go back 2 weeks, 2 days a week and 3 days a week. 2 days, 3 days, 2 days, 3 days. Still not 5 days a week going back to the office. To see how that plays out. This Russia war on Ukraine is expected to knock 30 years off of progress in the Russian economy. Not good news for Russia, of course. The markets offer opportunities, and the market giveth, and the market taketh away. Hopefully it giveth more to you than it taketh away. Good afternoon, Brian Scott. Good to see you. Tachyon, Bill Phillips, Spencer. Tachyon, missed today's forecast because of the summer time change. Now I have to wait when my country goes to summertime. Hate time changes. Yeah, you've probably got 2 weeks before you change back. Uh, I do apologize, Tachyon. I meant to mention that last Thursday and Friday that we were going to be changing our time this weekend, and I must have slipped my mind, and I do apologize. Mr. Presto, Vince, good afternoon. Ameli, good afternoon. And Frederico, good afternoon. Let's go ahead and jump into these charts and see what we are looking at and what we were looking at this morning, see what kind of opportunities we were able to scare up. Let's take a look. All right, so this is the daily in crude. We noticed and have been noticing that we've been putting in a head and shoulders. There's a couple of different reversal patterns that we see in this. We have a pretty deep bearish engulfing pattern last week, and we have a head and shoulders. Now we've broken out and closed below the neckline. And on a measured move, that takes us down to about 77.50 in a measured move from the top of the head and shoulders to the break line, to the break of the neckline. You take that measurement, and here you go. Here it is. Here's that measurement. Right around 77.50 would be a good terminus for this move. Now, we've been talking about how hollow this upside move has been. We have not been bringing in open interest in the crude oil market. It's been coming out. We've been losing open interest and losing volume at higher prices. We're coming into rollover, unfortunately. That's going to be, I think, next Monday or Tuesday is the scheduled roll. So we're in rollover, which is going to, again, blur a lot of our information that we count on as far as open interest and volume is concerned. Probably be looking more technical and for headline news, unfortunately, with regards to direction in crude oil. And again, anything can and will happen. Let's take a look at the S&Ps. Another interesting study in the value area, or excuse me, the late spike situation. We're in rollover. Okay, we know that we switched on Thursday and Friday. We should be trading the June contract. Let's get rid of this thing, the June contract. And we've taken a look down to and through our weekly kickoff low for this week, which is 41.62. We got $10 below it before rejecting back above it. That doesn't change our downside structure. I've got more of a range-bound tinge to this market than a continuation to the downside, but that's easily breakable on an acceptance below weekly kickoff low. Here's the 30-minute chart. All right. So we've got the late spike, which I was looking at the high of the late spike this morning at the breakout of L period, which put us up at 42.19. The market opens, trades up through that, back into value from yesterday before finally turning around and heading back to the downside. Now, when we're looking at late spike situations, when the market opens within the late spike, it's not as powerful a continuation pattern as opening below a late spike. So we opened in the late spike. The market looked higher, couldn't find what it was looking for, couldn't take out the overnight high, couldn't trade to point of control from Friday. Sellers came in and pushed this market for a test of weekly kickoff low, which it did appear now to trade above, to close above weekly kickoff low. This is going to be important. Take a look at how it was different for the NASDAQ. Here we are. So NASDAQ has been presenting weaker. I mean, we're down below the 20% correction level in the NASDAQ. Downside structure still intact, adding 17,000 in open interest on Friday. Again, somewhat likely to be range rollover related. We've closed below weekly kickoff low. But the thing that is most interesting in this is the fact that the market did open with a gap below the late spike. Let's make this big so we can all see it. So much like in the S&Ps, I was looking at where the L period, this period here, extended below the previous day's session low, which is right about there. This morning we looked at right about 13,398 as the base of the late spike. We opened below the late spike. We closed the gap. We traded basically almost to the base of the late spike, almost, not quite to it. Couldn't take out the overnight high. Couldn't get to the base of the late spike. Traded right to the low of value from yesterday. The sellers then came in and took this market lower. Again, a little bit of conflicting information between the NASDAQ and the S&Ps. S&Ps closed above weekly kickoff low. The NASDAQ, which has been presenting weaker, closed below it. Be another interesting trading day tomorrow. And don't forget, we're waiting for FOMC information on Wednesday. Gold. We know we had that island top up here last week. That reversal pattern, along with a potential head and shoulders, that along with a bearish engulfing pattern, pretty strong reversal pattern. We weren't really able to break market state according to this trend line. We looked below it. Looks like we closed right on it, which should further complicate things for us yesterday. Take a look at the 30. So here's our island top. And we know an island top means the market gaps up to it. On a move to the upside, it gaps higher and gaps lower. We've yet to close that gap, so that our island top remains a strong reversal pattern. And now we see perhaps a continuation of a head and shoulders pattern. Let's take a look at where our potential move for that is. I thought I had a vertical line here. So here's the top of the head. Here's the neckline. We've broken out below the neckline. We've closed below the neckline. The measured move takes us 30, basically right back down to the 200 session simple moving average. Right down here. We've got a little bit of support level. There's a 2-level breakout. We've got this trend line, and we've got to take out the low and close below and accept below weekly kickoff low before we're going to really believe that this market state has changed to this magnitude. The euro, this was one of our markets that we were going to be kind of backburnering. It's seeking range. It has found range. It has found balance. Very narrow regular trading hour session range today. Glad I was not, necessarily focusing on opportunities in this market today, because they were really kind of hard to come by. There was no real reference areas to look for opportunities where this market really kind of traded to. I mean, you got a high volume node here. You got point of control down here, which didn't get checked. Another high volume node here, really just short time frame controlled. And let's take a look now at the 10-year. we know rates are going up, and we've been waiting for this to happen. We get some continuation and acceleration to the downside this morning. The only problem was, where's the good place to get in? We had overnight inventory to the short side, almost no effort to close that gap after the regular trading hour open, just continuing to grind this market lower. Taking a look at the yield on the 10-year as we speak, 2.14%. 2.14%. It's been higher than we've been. Right up underneath. Well, it looks like we probably put in the 52-week high at 21.14, almost 21.15 today. So we got a 52-week high as far as rates are concerned for the 10-year. And take a look at the nat gas. Another, not really a barn burner today in the nat gas either. We're relatively centrally located. Take a 30. Opened. We looked at potential short time frame levels, neither of which were visited. We didn't get to this point of control up here. We did trade down to this point of control after putting in the effort up here to get to this point of control, which was unable to accomplish. So a decent range, but take a look at where the opportunities were at short time frame levels. You get to value high from Friday. Well, do you expect that to be accepted above, or do you take the short and look for the market to return? At the very least, it gives you the opportunity to limit your risk against the value low from Friday. Value low from Thursday gives us a relatively good opportunity to limit risk and to look for a potential long. That's the way the short time frame works. It adheres to and respects short time frame levels. Which one? Right. Okay. Get rid of this. Okay. It looks like S&Ps and the NASDAQ had. Dan, another great day in the markets. Love to hear that. Rusty Golfer, Eddie, good to see you. Dan, let's see. We have, double distribution in the S&Ps, double distribution in the NASDAQ. Let's see. Let's double check. Yep. Yeah, we most certainly do. Good eyes. Dan, I know some folks that got caught up in longs and stayed stubborn after the opening range breakout into European close. Stay agile. Yep, absolutely. I mean, the late spike play to me is one of the more powerful plays, and until there's really a break in the structure in and around that late spike, I really try and look for opportunities based on that. Even in the S&Ps today, as we tried to push to the upside, couldn't take out the overnight high. Thought that was a pretty good indication. Like I said, in full disclosure, I was not very active today. So just kind of looking at things from looking left, looks like that would have been a pretty decent opportunity, obviously. Anybody fill out their Top Step March Madness bracket yet? Tachyon did. Good. Dan, must have missed that. How's it going, Spencer? You got corn to win it. Well, you may be right. Yeah, email just came out today. What is quadruple witching and what is its significance? Well, and whenever the futures, the equity futures expire, that's quadruple witching. It's futures expire, futures options expire, single stock options expire, and I don't know, everything expires. You're going to have a lot of traders that are assigned positions as their options expire, so that you're going to have a rush of new positions in the futures or in the stocks, and a lot of folks are going to try and get out of those right away so that they don't have to manage that risk. Sometimes it's a big deal. Lately, I don't think it's been all that big a deal. But then again, ACH, that's my new acronym. Anything can happen. Yes. Spencer's got a good, yep, all those hedges have to roll off. Yep. He's got a good explanation of that. P. Shenanigan. I don't think it's just you. I think the past 2 weeks have been tough to trade. A lot of that may have to do with rollover. The rollovers do tend to make the markets a little bit harder to read. I think markets go too far. They don't go far enough. I know a lot of discretionary traders back in the pit days would take the 2 weeks of rollover off in the equities. Yes, do remember to be flat ahead of the FOMC release on Wednesday. Good safety tip there, Dan. Mr. Presto, our pleasure. Richie, hope everyone had a great day. Good. Yeah, me too. I haven't even looked at what happened on this day in history. Usually I'll give it a look, but let's see what happened. See if there's anything interesting here. Hey, this is interesting. On March 14th, 1879, Albert Einstein was born. The theory of relativity was born. 1958, the first gold record awarded to Perry Como for Catch a Falling Star. 1964, Jack Ruby sentenced to death for murdering Lee Harvey Oswald. 1990, Mikhail Gorbachev elected the president of the Soviet Union. 1776, Alexander Hamilton is named captain of artillery company. Interesting. What about in music? All right. Birthdays. 1933, Quincy Jones was born on this day. (1968), the promotional film for the Beatles' Lady Madonna was broadcast in black and white on Top of the Pops on UK television. 1973 released Ring Ring, the title track of their debut album. It hit number 32 and became the first Swedish number one. 1981, Eric Clapton was hospitalized with bleeding ulcers, causing a U.S. tour to be canceled. He was back in the hospital 5 weeks later after being involved in a car crash. And they got nothing about Led Zeppelin here today. Nothing about Led Zeppelin. What are they thinking? More than 2/3 of what Einstein taught is considered obsolete. Of course it is. That's funny. P. Shenanigan was doing really well on my funded account until the past 2 weeks. Any advice on what I should do to break this losing streak? Yes, stop. Stop trading. Give yourself a little bit of a break. See if the market state changes. At the very least, wait till after rollover. I'm not sure what you're trading, P. Shenanigan, but The equities become very cantankerous during rollover, and we're not the only ones who see it. We're not the only ones who notice it, and we're not the only ones that take time off during it. I'm a little bit late. I'm going to be taking next week off, and John Doherty, JD, the dancing bear, the sweet big man, is going to be covering the forecast and the recap for me. I'm excited for you guys to get to know JD a little bit better. Yes. Yeah. What Dan is talking about is good. Is a good idea on both sides. I used to be, I used to start to get nervous if I had a winning streak going. If I had a 5-day win streak, like a whole week, or even longer. The more nervous I got, the more afraid I was that I was going to really blow up the account because I had this feeling of pressure to keep the streak going. And the way I took care of that was I took a day off. I broke the streak on my own terms, if you will. Good suggestion, Dan. Now, look at what I've done well the past year and what I haven't. I'm realizing that I really don't want to trade outright equity futures when VIX is under 25. Interesting. JD is a nice man. He is a sweetheart of a man. You guys are going to love him. Yeah, it's going to be great. All right. On that note, what do we have coming at us tomorrow? Let's see here. PPI final demand, FOMC meeting begins. Empire State Manufacturing Index. That's pretty much it for Tuesday. Wednesday and Thursday are really the big days this week. Retail sales, import-export prices, 7:30 on Wednesday. And, of course, we know we've got the EIA Petroleum Status Report at 9:30 on Wednesday and FOMC announcement at 2 Eastern, 1 o'clock Central. Make sure you got your clock's set to the right time. I'm looking forward to getting some good rest this evening. And being ready for tomorrow. P Shenanigan, take some time, keep an eye on what's going on. There's always something we can learn even if we're not engaged, but sometimes it's actually better just to look away. That's what I'm going to be doing next week. All right, so I will see you tomorrow morning, 7:45 for the market forecast. Don't forget to sign up for Make Hogue Money. Hang on, I'll put the link in on Thursday. Those are proving to be a lot of fun. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. Okay? Get some rest. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. Be kind. Keep praying. Pray for peace. Pray for freedom. Pray for strength. And get some good rest tonight. Opportunities, lots of opportunities coming at us this week. Certainly looking to shape up that way. Have a good night. I'll see you in the morning, 7:45. Good night.